So, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, as it's been in the news a lot recently. Not because it's been revealed or anything, but because of leaks. And normally I don't come near leaks, I don't cover them, I don't do anything regarding leaks, because I mean, they could be fabricated by anybody in their mother's basement, but these leaks are kind of hard to avoid this time around, because now the Switch 2 is being leaked by a reputable source, that being Dbrand. Yeah, Dbrand is known for making stickers for your electronics, aka decals, and for some reason they seem to be leaking the Nintendo Switch 2, which I find really odd. Like, wouldn't that put them in trouble with Nintendo? Clearly there seems to be some kind of gray line that I'm not really understanding, or they're just trolling and taking the fake mock-up, Switch 2 concept that people are saying is leaked, and then just making their own, case for it and pretending that this will be the Switch 2 case. Just kind of capitalize on all the, talk about this Switch 2 leak and everything. And that wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, because Dbrand is a pretty, trollish company with how they market things. So if they're just straight up jacking someone's, fake mock-up of a Switch 2 and pretending it actually is a Switch 2 and leaking it, that would be interesting, and it wouldn't come past me. I wouldn't be surprised, because why else are they leaking it, right? I know there's a bunch of other Chinese manufacturers who have leaked it, but that's either been on accident or something like that. They're just straight up Dbrand's blatantly leaking it. They tweeted it, and as you can see, I'll make sure to display on screen, they have this 3D rendering of a Switch 2 with one of their case, that being the Switch 2 Kill Switch case, I guess is the name for it. And yeah, if you look at it closely, it looks very identical to the leaks of the Switch 2, which I'll make sure to kind of show one of the mock-ups on screen. And overall, I mean, there's not really much to show. It pretty much looks like a slightly bigger Nintendo Switch OLED, but sadly, from what's been leaked, the screen won't be OLED, at least on the base model. It's gonna just be a slightly bigger LCD than the OLED original Switch 1 model. And overall, the Joy-Cons and everything look for the most part the same. Again, slightly bigger, but we also see an extra button under the home button, that being this weird C button, which I'll get into, at least what my theories are on what this button may be and everything. But yeah, overall, this seems to be the Switch 2 for everybody. It's leaked, right? This is what we're expecting for Nintendo's successor, and it does look like what I imagine it to look like, just a better Switch. I'm assuming the components on the inside will be a lot better. I don't want to judge a book by its cover, but for the most part, it does look like a slightly more improved Switch, that being just, slightly bigger. So yeah, most likely the internals will also be overhauled and just generally be able to run a lot better than the original Switch, which I'm super excited for, because yeah, the Switch really needs an update. I mean, we're going on 8 years of this console, and it was already outdated 8 years ago when it came out. It was weaker than flagship smartphones at that time. So yeah, imagine now it's just so far behind. The only games it can play properly are from Nintendo themselves, where they know how to make the game for it. But any third party, especially a game that was meant to be released for a different console, usually won't get a port for the Switch, or will get a very, very dumbed down one. So that alone makes me super hyped for the Switch 2 and why I'm gonna pick it up day one, of course. But yeah, let's get into some other things that I am looking forward to with the console. So the first thing I want to do is let's go ahead and change the camera angle here, because yeah, I want to show you guys my Switches, and I feel like we need to look at a Switch to really get into it. So the first thing I kind of want to just kind of show is the original Nintendo Switch. Like you can see my reflection. Every time, you load in through a game and the screen's black, you're just reminded of... You're not a video game character. I'm just looking at myself like, oh yeah, reality just struck. Okay, anyways, that's beside the point. I don't know, I've lost my reflection there. But, yeah, the original Nintendo Switch. This is the exact same Nintendo Switch I bought way back in 2007 when it first came out, day one. It's been with me throughout, thick and thin, and I absolutely love it. But obviously, it's, yeah, had its fair share of gameplay. I need to put it to rest. It's not the best altogether, but it's crazy how it holds up till this day. Like, overall, it is such an amazing console, and, you know, whatever successor comes after this, I know is gonna, you know, withstand many years to come as well, which I'm super excited for. But yeah, the problem with this model is, of course, it had an LCD, and the screen was really small. Like, look at that. That is not that big whatsoever, and just altogether, yeah, the brightness, the screen quality, everything, it just seems pretty outdated for today's standards, especially looking at like mobile phones and everything. But of course, Nintendo did remedy that as they gave us the Nintendo Switch OLED, which is definitely one of the coolest Nintendo consoles of all time, because you get a much bigger screen, and of course it's OLED, so it's much brighter, much more beautiful. I say brighter, but I gotta actually turn up the brightness. There we go. And yeah, just such a beaut. Big screen, everything about it is you know, perfect. Now, of course, compatible with the original Joy-Cons. Obviously, the Switch 2 probably won't be compatible with the original Joy-Cons, but that's something I'm looking forward to because, yeah, I really want the Joy-Cons to be updated. Like, obviously, we got stick drift, you know, Joy-Con drift, which pretty much is a huge problem. So they need to give us, like, you know, the Hall effect, you know, joysticks, which a lot of companies are doing now, and they're just so much better, and they don't, you know, result in stick shift drift. That's a weird thing to say, you know, say that 5 times fast. But anyways, yeah, and then of course, one thing I really dislike, but it makes sense, is the D-pad being actual face buttons. But that's so, you know, if you pull this out, this one mirrors the other Joy-Con, which I guess is smart, and it doesn't look like they're getting rid of that concept, but it would be cool to have like a D-pad, like an official D-pad that we can swap between. Maybe not a DIY type thing, but maybe like a plastic you could put on top of it. There are these that I put on top of mine, and it is so much better. So didn't have to actually swap the console or like open up the Joy-Con or anything. It's literally just a piece of plastic that, you know, has like some tape on top of the buttons, but it works perfectly and feels like a D-pad. Here, I just kind of like the Skittles, you know, 16-bit era of the Super Famicom, so had to rock that. But yeah, overall, the Switch is amazing in terms of a, you know, both home console and portable console. Yeah, it's not pocketable, but it was like the best thing. It's like a tablet, but you can, you know, play it like a home console as well. And getting a successor to it would be amazing. But one thing, obviously, and from what we've seen, it looks really good. But one thing that I really hope that they do change with the Switch 2 is if we ever get a Nintendo Switch 2 Lite, for them to actually make it Lite. Because while, yeah, the Nintendo Switch, you know, Lite is significantly smaller, I'll put it right behind the original Nintendo Switch. Look at that. So pretty much a whole Joy-Con smaller than the original Nintendo Switch. It's still not that small. Like, compared to an actual Game Boy Advance, which is actually pocketable, this is as big as the entire screen. So yeah, this isn't really that pocketable. You may say, how smaller can they make it? Like, are you for real? Give me a reference then. You know, a Game Boy's not a good reference. Sure, I'll give you a reference. That's what I'm leading up to. That being the Retroid Pocket 4. As you can see, they literally based it off of a Nintendo Switch, but they actually made it really small, really light. Now this runs Android, but the fact that you can have it this small, and I know guaranteed that this has a better processor than the Switch and the Switch Lite, because again, it runs Android and it can run games flawlessly. The best example is like Sky. So Sky, the Children of Light, is a Switch game, but when you play it on this, it is flawless. It is beautiful. So it just proves that, yeah, Nintendo Switch cannot even hold up to a Chinese emulation console. So this upgrade is so needed. But my point is, and the reason why I'm even mentioning this is because look at that size comparison right here. So look at that. This is what a Lite Switch needs to be. This is a Switch Lite. Yeah, the screen is significantly smaller, but like, it's actually pocketable. This I can pocket. If I could actually have a Switch Lite be this small, I would be carrying this with me everywhere. It's just a shame that this is still not pocketable. It doesn't even feel like it's really light. Like, I don't ever see a point in playing this because when I'm playing it, I have to play it kind of like a tablet, so I have to put it in my bag or something. And if I'm gonna take something out of my bag, I'm gonna take out the OLED, right? Why would I even touch that crappy LCD on the Lite? Yeah, it has a D-pad, which is actually really nice because obviously they don't have Joy-Cons, but still, this to me is the perfect size. I really hope the Nintendo Switch 2 Lite gets a size this big, but that's not the only thing that this is so much superior. And it's hilarious because this is cheaper than Nintendo Switch Lite. So yeah, one other thing I love that Nintendo really needs to change with the Switch 2 and just general Joy-Cons is, and I'll show you first on the actual Nintendo Switch, is the L and R buttons. Yeah, sadly, these are, I believe, only analog. They're not digital. Or is that the opposite? They're only digital, right? And they're not analog. Whatever. Correct me. My point is, when you click them, they just click. They immediately register. They send, you know, the signal to the device to let you know you click the button. Unlike, you know, what Nintendo did way back with the GameCube, where it had that kind of digital feedback in the sense of like you could actually, and I'll see if I can get it to focus properly. Yeah, there we go. There's like actual movement in the trigger buttons here. Like, look at that, there's so much movement, and because of that you can get digital input, which is super nice. Sadly, the Nintendo Switch has literally no movement. It's just a button. You click it and it clicks, and because of that, I hate playing with the Joy-Cons mainly for that reason. Like, outside of Joy-Con drift, outside of everything, that makes it feel so much less superior than a standard controller, just because you don't have actual triggers. Like, I never knew how important that would be, but it is needed on a console. And again, you may say, oh, but it's portable to Joy-Con. Well, okay, well, here's proof that it doesn't need to be on a big machine to have, you know, inputs like that. So, yeah. In general, yeah, I never expect Nintendo to go back to the form factors of actual handhelds. Sure, I understand this is past us. We're never gonna have true handhelds. But if you're gonna give us a Lite, make it feel like a Lite. Because, yeah, even down to like the Vita, which was the last, in my eyes, the best, you know, portable console of all time. Strip of all time. This is better than the Game Boy Advance in my eyes. Absolutely love the PlayStation Vita so much. And yeah, it would just be nice for the actual Nintendo Switch to be somewhat on par, because again, in comparison, you know, that just ain't pocketable, man. It just ain't. So yeah, that's my issue with the Switch Lite. I really hope the Switch 2 Lite, if that is a thing, fixes that. And yeah, in general, with the Nintendo Switch, I'm nonetheless excited for just a beefier, better version. Like, yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be so amazing, just having something better. The one thing I'm worried about is, like, are they really going to get rid of the OLED on the base model? I guess it's to give them room to improve, you know, with a newer Nintendo Switch 2 unit, that being the OLED version. But it's like, come on, you can't give us OLED and then go back on the newer console. It just seems insulting. Like, I need it to be OLED. Overall, like, the Switch 2 looks really good, but yeah, if the display isn't as sharp, I can see a lot of people preferring to play the original Switch games on a Switch OLED and not the 2, which would be such a shame, because I'm assuming it will run better than the original Switch, but it's like, if visually and the colors don't look as appealing, that'd be a bit ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, this is obviously a OTR, if you couldn't tell, so, you know, kind of just going off rambling, but I really enjoyed his videos. Like, I have to say, like, there's so much fun to make, because there's so much I want to talk about, and it's just nice to gush about certain things. But anyways, what I do want to also mention is, yeah, what that button I'm hoping the Switch 2 will have, because overall, aesthetically, it looks just like a slightly bigger Switch, right? But the biggest difference is that button. And that button also, I mean, yeah, it's only that button, right? I feel like I've seen some mock-ups where they had like an extra trigger button here, like, you know, the L4 and R4 button, like a small one here, but I'm not entirely sure if that's, you know, someone else's mock-up and not the one that Dbrand is showing. It's hard to tell from Dbrand's because of the case, but you can clearly see on a Dbrand's little teaser mock-up leak that there is the C button that should be right here. And that, to me, I'm assuming might be chat. And what I mean by chat is, like, maybe we'll open up Miiverse, and maybe we'll open up like instant posts. Like, instead of posting on you know, Twitter, aka X, you can now post on Miiverse or screenshots. You can post all sorts of things. Nintendo needs to make a social media. Like, ever since Twitter no longer became Twitter, I'm looking for a new social media, and I'm hoping Nintendo can make Miiverse. And I know Miiverse sounds so silly, but yo, I would use Miiverse more than any other social media if it came back. I loved Miiverse. I remember posting so many screenshots and selfies from the Wind Waker and just silly memes and reading them. It was so fun. So I really hope that's what it is, because let's be real, what made the Switch at first so special was sharing all the clips of, you know, Breath of the Wild and everyone's funny moments, and having a designated button to do that. Obviously we have this, you know, screenshot button slash screen record, but having a full-on share button, like or a chat button, I don't know. The C is definitely throwing me off in terms of like what it may mean. Someone is thinking it might mean like channel or something, and you can maybe display it to your screen, and maybe your Switch will turn on to a full Wii U where you can have gameplay on here, but gameplay transmitted onto your screen. That seems too complex for me. I doubt that will happen unless the dock itself has something to it and it isn't just, you know, an HDMI output. But I doubt Nintendo's going to do anything to the dock. I feel like they want to put everything in the actual console itself and have it, you know, the dock just be, yeah, an external USB hub for it, right? It's not supposed to be anything else. But if that is the case, then yeah, the Switch 2 needs to be a huge improvement in terms of performance compared to the original Switch. And yeah, I'm generally curious on how Nintendo will, you know, go with that. But overall, it looks really good. Like, my only issue, again, is just the OLED, because, like, we live in an era where, again, even Chinese manufacturers that are not on par with Nintendo have screens that are so sharp, so good. Like, this is the Retro Pocket 5, and look at this OLED screen. Again, just insane. And the size is really good. Maybe if the Switch Lite was even... the Switch Lite is around this size, but I mean, compare the screens, like night and day. You got OLED, you got this crappy LCD. It is insane. So I really hope Nintendo actually puts quality into their screens and not, again, leaves room for improvement. I feel like that's just the scummiest thing to do to your audience, especially if you already had improved it prior. You know, it's the Call of Duty syndrome. Take a feature away to like give reason for improvement. But maybe Nintendo just sees the point, like maybe a lot of people don't care for the OLED. You know, I wouldn't know in terms of like the sales and everything. But for me, once I got OLED, I straight up couldn't go back. Like I got my wife the Splatoon version as well. So nice. And altogether just... yeah, it's an amazing experience. Like, again, I love my Switch. My Switch is probably my favorite console of all time, from an official source. Surprisingly enough, maybe my favorite current is actually the Retro Pocket 5. I know it's an Android-based device, but the fact that I can emulate all my old games, play Android games, play Sky, a game that I love playing on my Nintendo Switch, but in even better quality and a lot more smoother, better frame rate. It's just like, yeah, give us the Switch 2 already. We're ready for it. There's no need to wait any longer. Obviously, again, we don't even know if all of this is real. I never wanted to cover leaks. I still don't know if this is a fake leak, but it just feels like it can't be. Like, why would Dbrand do this? But again, I mean, we might just end up realizing that, yeah, Dbrand was trolling all of us. You know, they joined in on the trolls. And again, that would fit with what they do and their marketing strategy and everything. So maybe we're all just being fooled. Maybe we haven't seen the Switch 2 yet. Maybe Nintendo does have something up their sleeve and it will look significantly different than what we've seen so far. Who knows? But I guess only time will tell. So yeah, just for those wondering, I have seen the Switch 2 leaks. There you go. I confirmed it all in this video. These are my thoughts. These are my opinions. I wanted to make this video for a while because every time there was a leak, someone would ask me what are my thoughts. But I'm like, not enough evidence, not enough evidence. Now that Dbrand has pretty much made it a thing, it's hard to kind of just ignore. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the Switch 2 leak, and if you guys like what you've seen so far. Again, for me, I'm sold regardless, even if it looked exactly like the original Switch. As long as it runs better, I need it. You know, that's my thought process. But let me know if you guys are going to be picking up day one, what your opinions are. You know, I've already seen some people say they literally won't pick it up day one if it doesn't come with an OLED model, because then it feels like their original Switch is superior in some way. And I get that, but LCD, not LCD, you're still gonna put it on a big screen, right? So just having it for the home console experience will be worth it. You know, I don't care how good the screen quality is. You know, if I can just play it right on a big screen, I'm not gonna notice then. And usually when you first get a Switch, you want to play those new games on the big screen first. It's later on it gets more fun to kind of just carry it with you and everything. At least that's my experience with my Switch. Like when I first got it, I never undocked it, but now, yeah, I always undock it when I get up and just kind of mess around with it. But you know, it depends on, I guess, the person who does own it, because I know a lot of people who straight up say I will never play it undocked. So to me, the OLED is completely useless. Like I will never buy it, and since the OLED has nothing else besides it being OLED, what's the point? And I can completely get that sentiment. But again, yeah, let's start a discussion in the comments. Please let me know what you guys think. This was another OTR, just kind of letting you guys know my opinions, rambling, having a lot of fun with these. Let me know if there's any other topic you'd want to see me cover in another OTR. Again, I have a lot more. Make sure to become a channel member to check out the ones that aren't public, but they'll eventually be available for everyone. And again, thank you all so much for watching. As always, I've been ZM, and I'll see you all in the next one.